Good morning and welcome to the DFS Army YouTube channel. I am Razzle11 and you can find me on X at Razzle11Grinds. Going to take a look at the pitching for today, the 24th of June. It is Monday. We do have a 9-game main slate ahead of us. Should have no weather to deal with. Last I saw, Kansas City has temps approaching 100. Should be interesting considering we have Cole Reagans and he is one of the favorite SPs to use by the field in general. So I haven't looked at anything. Again, this is a first look at our pitching options for today. We'll take a look at some props and just get a rough idea of what a pitcher pool might look like by the time the first game starts up. But let's take a look here. Tanner Houck. Going to be plenty of memes on X with Tanner Houck today for obvious reasons. Obviously, a ton of upside. Toronto, not a huge K team, but he was strong against them the first time he faced them. I'm going to guess his K prop's probably around 5.5. It's at 4.5 with juice really strongly on the over. And looking at the Vegas line, I do not see any pitcher for Toronto listed right now, but shows Boston as a minus 142 favorite. Houck certainly in play. Definitely a GPP pivot off of Reagan's. Not somebody you probably need to go super heavy on to be over the field weight, since I have a feeling people aren't going to spend up as much to him at 10.5. Cole Reagan's at home. We already mentioned it's going to be 100 degrees out. Going to need to rack up some strikeouts. He's had some walks recently. There's some issues, but still such a great matchup. His K prop is 6.5. Juice is on the over. He's a minus 250 favorite. Game total of 9.5 right now. Really strong game total. It's actually the second highest on the slate behind the Cincinnati game at 10 even. But Cole Reagan's definitely a ton of upside, somebody we're going to be interested in. Garrett Crochet taking on the Dodgers. Such an interesting spot. He's been absolutely dominant when pitching at home. Obviously taking on a Dodger squad that is one of the better teams in the National League, but obviously they're missing Mookie Betts. Big deal to their lineup. He dominated against Baltimore. They did beat him, but he did strike out 11 in 6 innings. It's going to be hard to not use Garrett Crochet. His K prop 7.5. Juice is slightly on the under. He's just a slight underdog at home. The Dodgers are a minus 125 favorite. Really interesting spot for Crochet and his upside. Freddie Peralta, traditionally been a stud at home. Not as strong this year. His K to walk rate is pretty strong, but just allowing a few more runs. Been super up and down recently, but there's a ton of upside, so I think I'm going to have to go with him. The overall Texas lineup hasn't been overly dangerous. He is a minus 170 favorite right now. K prop of 5.5, juice strongly on the over. I mean, yeah, these four guys here at the top, there are some question marks a little bit, but they're all certainly viable. Reagan's, if you take away the 100-degree temps, in the best spot. But I think Peralta certainly can get it done as well. Bassett did shut down Boston the first time he faced them. He has been slightly better on the road. Obviously, the first time he faced them was in his last start. So that is a worry for me. I just don't really like the back-to-back start things if he ends up being the starter. I'm looking at DraftKings Sportsbook right now, and they do not have a Toronto pitcher listed yet. So I think he's fine. I don't think I'm going to go with Bassett this evening. I think I would rather play Justin Steele pitching in San Francisco. Absolutely dominated San Francisco the first time he faced them. It's been spectacular on the road as well. Really seems to be rounding into form after starting out the year getting hurt. K prop of 5.5. Juice is on the under. But right now it is a pick 'em in this game. Game total is 7.5, which is the lowest total on the slate. I think Steele just makes a ton of sense. Matt Waldron, definitely somebody I'm going to be interested in. Ks really aren't his huge thing, and Washington doesn't strike out a ton. Um, but he's been really strong over his last, is that 8 starts now? 7 starts, 8 starts, allowing 2 runs or less in all 8 starts. No problem going with Waldron in this one as well. K prop is just 3.5. It's kind of ugly. Uh, he is a minus 205 favorite though, so I think he's going to get the W tonight. That can kind of negate some of that low K upside if we can get that W. Lance Lynn, no, thank you. I never, excuse me, just not going to be interested in Lance Lynn, especially against Atlanta right now. Paxton, I never thought I would get back on board with using Paxton, but he's looked good the last couple. Taking on a White Sox team that overall not very good, but um, it's still hesitant to want to use Paxton. Started out the year with a ton of walks. Looks like he's tamed those, cut those down a bit. Maybe he's decent in this one, so he's going to make my pool, but I'm not super excited about using him. Schwellenbach coming off of his best start, back-to-back pretty solid starts. Taking on St. Louis, I think he's in play. He's a minus 120 favorite. K prop 4.5 right now. Nothing super exciting about him, but I do think he's viable for us. Um, he and Paxton kind of look like the last guys in type plays of my pool. As I try to trim it to around 8 pitchers. So it'll be interesting as the day goes on what the research brings in. Falter has had some pretty surprising starts. Cincinnati can strike out a bunch, but I'm just not going to go there. Spears had impressed me before. I used him here against Pittsburgh. He struggled. Now he's taking on Pittsburgh again in a very high total game. I don't think I'm going to go back there, but I guess there's a chance he ends up in my pool. I just don't know that it's going to happen. Luis Medina has had some couple pretty strong starts. The one being at Atlanta, which is really surprising, and then beating Kansas City. Taking on a weaker Angels squad, I could see a lot of people talking about him, and I understand it. I'm going to guess that he ends up on the outside looking in, but he's certainly in consideration, as is Griffin Canning. Medina's K prop's 4.5, juice on the under. Canning is 5.5 with juice on the under. Canning is a minus 135 favorite. Game total in this one sitting at 9. Canning just hasn't been good this year at all. So I don't think I can go to Canning. And with him being favored over Medina, that might be a big enough strike for me to remove Medina from my pool. But again, we'll see as the day goes on. See when lineups start coming out. That always makes an adjustment to my pool slightly. But there we have it. There's the first look at pitching. If you enjoy what I bring to you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on. Get the alert anytime we drop videos here at DFS Army. If you want to join us and get access to our coaches, tools, sheets, Discord, etc., I will put links in the description below. You can use promo code RAZ, that's R-A-Z, for 10% off monthly. And as always, best of luck, everybody.